everybody. I'm Ellen Bush with Bush Real Estate. And whether you're thinking of buying a home or selling a home, there's one step in the process that is absolutely crucial, and that's the home inspection. So joining me today is Davey Kahn from Thorough Inspections. He is my go-to guy when I'm asked for a referral for a home inspector, and he's the guy that I call if I have any questions. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. So today we are going to dive into home inspections and find out why they are crucial for home buyers, but also how sellers can use them to identify potential issues that could come up and be a problem for the sale of their home. So I guess first of all, I want to explain to everybody a little bit about what a home inspection is, what it covers, and why it's important. So can you tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, home inspection typically is just a visual observation of the condition of the home. An inspector comes out and we try to get on every roof. We check everything from the roof to the crawl space and get in every nook and cranny and try to nitpick the house apart and find anything we can that's wrong with the house.
Why would you say a home inspection is crucial for buyers?
I think it's crucial for buyers to have a home inspection because it gives them an opportunity to see what's wrong with the house and gives them time to maybe ask the seller to fix a few problems before they get moved in and find out what the overall condition of the home is.
Absolutely. About how long does it take to inspect a home from start to finish?
Average home inspection runs anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on the square feet, the condition. If you have a house that's not in great condition, it's going to take a lot longer. But I would say on average, 2 to 4 hours.
Now, do you actually get up on top of the roof and inspect the roof, or how do you?
Depending on height, pitch, and weather, yes, I get on every roof that I am able to get on. If not, I have a drone. I take plenty of pictures. I put all those pictures in the report so the client will have those. So I try my best to at least get a visual inspection of the roof, whether I'm on it or have a drone.
Awesome. I mean, kind of awesome, but I wouldn't want to be on the roof. So, what would you say are the most common items that you find during the home inspection process?
You know, most houses you go into, you're going to find some small things like hinges loose on doors, doorknobs that are loose. You know, the doors don't want to shut because they're misaligned. Anti-tip brackets on stoves. You find no GFCIs in some areas that it should have it, which is a common misconception that it's not safe. In the condition, I guess it may not be, but it's a very simple, easy fix. It's nothing to run away from. I wouldn't not buy a house because of these simple, minor items that are very cheap to fix and doesn't take long.
A GFCI, how much does it cost to purchase a GFCI at Home Depot, you think?
If you get a GFCI receptacle, they're average $40, or if you want to get a GFCI breaker, they're average $60 to $80.
Okay, so $40 to $80, y'all, and that problem could be fixed.
Yep.
So I see that all the time, and that is something that people kind of freak out about because they don't really know what that is. So what are some things that a seller could do to prepare their home for a home inspection?
If you know you're going to have your house inspected, I would highly recommend going through, checking all your light bulbs, checking your batteries and the remotes. If you have, remotes for ceiling fans or lights, smoke detectors, clear a path and make sure everything's accessible as far as like the water heater, the electrical panel, the attic access. If you have the fold down stairs, make sure there's no tables or anything in the way so the inspector can gain access to those areas, and just have the house to where that he can get into every room and just really check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all, I've shown some houses, even recently, that as an agent, I could hardly get through some of the rooms because of all the boxes. We understand you're moving, but utilize your garage. Everybody kind of, you've seen one garage, you've mostly seen them all, unless you've got like something super spectacular in your garage. Utilize your garage for those boxes. Don't have them in your, dining room and bedroom. But especially, and another thing about the garage, don't put them up against your water heater or, something that he's going to have access to. But speaking to the light bulbs, I also get a lot of home inspection reports that say they don't know if this light fixture is working. They don't know if it's an electrical issue. And sometimes it's as simple as a light bulb. The home inspector has to identify that as a potential problem because he doesn't know if it's a light bulb or not. And he's kind of on the hook, so to speak, for, identifying these problems. So that's an easy fix.
Yeah, we have to call and report those small items for sure. What a lot of people don't realize is a home inspector can't technically move your belongings, personal belongings. We're not allowed to go in the house and just start moving things. So if something's in the way, We can't get into a room, can't get into an area. The only thing we can do as an inspector is just notate it, take a picture, put on there, this area is inaccessible, we could not test or inspect this spot.
I gotcha. Yeah, so absolutely. Make sure you got clear paths and that they're able to get to the things they need to get to. Are there any quick fixes, like, small ticket items that you think that sellers could do before a home inspection that you feel like would maybe make a bigger difference in the eyes of a buyer by not seeing it on that inspection report?
Yeah, definitely. If they just went around and just checked their own doors, tightened a few hinges, which is usually just a couple twists of a screw, tighten the doorknobs, little things like that, believe it or not, goes a lot further than people realize. Changing the bulbs, like we was talking about, and make sure all the lights work, and making sure the alarms, the smoke detectors are not beeping the whole time they're there, changing those batteries. It really gives the buyer the feeling that you really maintain your house and take care of it, and gives them a lot more comfortable feeling knowing that everything works, which is not common in a lot of houses. Those small items that typically something wrong with.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to buyers. So, on average, how long would you say most inspection reports are?
I would say on average, home inspections will take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to complete.
And about how many pages on the report when you...
They range anywhere from 30 to 70 or 80. It just depends on the amount of concerns you find at the home.
So, as an agent, I'll tell you, I don't know why this number sticks out in my head, but 46 pages is like what I think of. That's when I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're going to get an inspection report that's probably going to be 46 to 50 pages long, and, don't freak out, because it's their job to identify like every little teeny tiny thing. So, when dealing with buyers, what would be the advice that you would give them on how to interpret that inspection report?
The inspection report is going to be full of information. It's going to be overwhelming, the information that's in it, and the things that are call-outs but not considered a problem. With my reports, I do have a summary area, and I put anything in red in the summary would be a safety hazard. If I see any safety hazard, I call it out, put it in the summary, which is at the top of the report, that's in red. If I see any mechanical defects or major cosmetic issues, I put that up there too, but I'll put it in blue and not red. Like, for example, leaks, a door that's broken and doesn't function properly, things like that, I'll put up there in the summary. So that would be the area I would probably steer most of my attention to, and see if there's anything that could be fixed in that area.
So, as an agent, what I tell my buyers is, when we're asking for repairs from the seller, I typically will look at those safety issues, because nobody wants to have safety concerns in their house, right? And anything that's a major issue that could be a large potential cost for my buyer down the road. But the maintenance issues, I kind of tell them to consider, like, that's just part of owning a home. So these are kind of the things that you may want to put on your list and tackle slowly once you get in, but they're not maybe as much of an immediate concern. And generally speaking, I would say in most cases, unless the house is like in really bad condition, but in a pretty good condition type house, I would say that the bulk of the report is probably maintenance issues, wouldn't you?
Most definitely.
Yeah. So that's why you shouldn't freak out when you see that report that's this long. It's just a good idea to take a look, and it's a way for you to know how to be a responsible homeowner moving forward as well.
There's also information there that's not a problem. As a home inspector, we point out where your electrical panel is located, where the main breaker is, what size it is, where your water heater is located, what size it is, who makes it. So there's a lot of other information there too. So it's full of a lot of good information that's good for the house, and a lot of information that's a problem for the house.
Okay, this is actually a really good point, because I had this happen the other day. I have a house that's listed, and it was built in 1939, and someone actually turned the faucet or the spigot on outside, and it broke. Like, the pipe, everything busted. And the water is actually pouring in under the house because it broke inside the wall, and they called me and said, oh my God, do you know where the water shutoff is? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't own the house. So I called my seller, and she had no idea. But this is a good reason for that, because, somebody's helping you identify these things up front so that when you have an emergency, you know exactly where to go before things get too bad.
That's a very good example. Also in the reports, if there's a winterization valve, sometimes there's a valve under a sink in a bathroom or something. There'll be a third valve. People don't know what that goes to. Majority of the time, it goes to the hose bib outside, and that's a winterization. You turn that off. So you can turn the valve on outside, let all that water drain out, and it won't freeze.
Oh
If
my
you knew
gosh,
where that
I've never
was,
even seen that.
if you knew where that was, you'd go in there and turn that valve off. You wouldn't have to turn the water off to the whole house and stop the leak.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Can you share some tips for prioritizing issues found on the inspection report and, deal breakers and things like that?
I would definitely prioritize the safety first. Any kind of safety issue, I would definitely want that done. That would also help, depending on what type of loan you're getting, FHA or something. Your appraiser is going to pick those things out anyway. So get ahead of yourself. Try to ask for those things, get those fixed. Anything that's safety, or if it's a major mechanical malfunction or something.
Maybe structural,
anything that's structural, anything that's safety would definitely address. As far as deal breakers, that's in the eye of the beholder. Some people go in knowing that they're going to renovate the whole house, so it's not a big deal. Some clients, they're single moms, they don't know how to fix a few things, so they need to ask for more things fixed than someone else. But I would say a deal breaker, from my opinion, as an example, would be anything that's going to cause prolonged damage if not fixed. If it's going to keep causing issues to the house, try to get that fixed. If not, that would be the only reason why I might consider a deal breaker and back out. Anything structural that is going to cost more money than it's worth to fix would be a reason for a deal breaker. Or if you're not in a situation where you can afford to fix it and the sellers can't fix it, then that house may not be right for you.
And guys, lean on your agent for this, because that's one thing that I've had people call before and say after they saw the inspection report, I think we're just going to move on. And I've said, what's going on? Tell me what it turned up. Tell me what's a problem. And, that is just too much. And I go to terminate the deal, and the other agent says to me, well, what's going on? Like, my seller wants to fix it. My seller, they don't want to sell the house to somebody with any kind of big issues. And one thing that you should know is that when we identify problems and let a seller know, if they don't fix it and you do move on, they have to disclose it to the next buyer as well. So generally speaking, I would say what's a problem for you is probably going to be a problem for someone else. So it's always in the seller's best interest to address big issues. So that's kind of part of our job, is making sure that this gets handled, and we can do it by negotiating the repair itself, or getting a credit to you as the buyer to make the repair after it closes with one of your trusted vendors. So those are things that we deal with every day as agents, and if you just let us know what the problem is, a lot of times if you love the house, we can get the problem fixed.
And never assume the sellers will not fix anything. Even if you look at some houses that's sold as is, in order to get that house sold, there's maybe a few items that has to be addressed in order for the loan to go through. Of course, if it's a cash offer, that's a different scenario. But a lot of sellers are willing to work with you. They want to get rid of the house. They're trying to move on. They're trying to buy a house also. So they're going through the same scenario as you. So
I agree 100%. And I've had sellers that are really tough to deal with and that say it's as is, I'm not doing anything at all. And then this comes around and they're like, oh, they're more reasonable than you think. So like David said, it never hurts to ask. And if they say no, you can always cancel. You can terminate your contract. So you're kind of in a win-win situation.
And you also have those clients that go in and look at the report, or they're with you, the report, like, oh, I want that fixed, I want that fixed, I want this fixed. And you got to really sit them down and like, hold up, you can't ask for everything to be fixed. The house is not perfect. You really got to look at all of it, like we had spoke about earlier, and see what's really important needs to be fixed. Your offer's been accepted, but you're not the only offer on that house. The seller has got the option to back out of that contract just as quick as you do, and then go to the next person. So that's one thing I really try to tell my clients is like, well, hold up, this is very easy fix, this is minor. We're not going to worry about that. If it would mean, I would worry about the safety thing, something that's major.
Absolutely. How often would you say that you find things that you would consider being deal breakers and that, ultimately the people move on?
Very rare. And if I ever get in that scenario, I always call the agent first. The agent that called me, I always call them like, hey, I don't know the situation. It's none of my business between what the client, kind of situation the client's in. I don't know if they're going to flip the house, if it's going to be the forever home. We don't know their financial situation. It's none of my business. But I'll call them and be like, hey, this house is going to need a lot of repairs. I found this, and this wrong with it, and it's going to be a very expensive fix. Sometimes the agent will tell me, don't worry about it. They're going to go in and renovate it anyway. Sometimes we're like, oh, well, this is going to be the forever home. They're already stretched thin with their finances. So I always try to communicate with the agent first and try to get an idea about the client and but that has only happened a couple of times.
That's great, because that way you can better communicate with the client too, if you know a little bit more about the situation and kind of help them out. So one last question, and that is, on average, how much would you say you charge for a home inspection for, say, like a 2,000 square foot house?
The average home inspection is going to start out at around $375 and go up. Of course, it depends on the square foot of the house, when the house was built, what foundation type it's on, whether it be a crawl space, a slab, or a basement. So it just depends on that. Plus, it also, if you want radon done, that's an extra cost. If you want a pool inspection, things like that will drive the cost up. But for an average, as they call it, a cookie cutter in the field, it's about $375.
Okay, so that actually brings me to one more important point, I guess. So you do home inspections. You mentioned a few other items, and there's some other things that people a lot of times will want to inspect for. And so I'm curious which ones of these you cover and which ones of these you would say, to outsource somewhere else. So I'm going to throw some out there, and you tell me if it falls in your wheelhouse or if it's someone else. So you mentioned radon. You do radon testing?
I do radon testing. I also do indoor air quality, mold, lead, water. We can do all of those.
You do water testing, like for wells?
Yes, but I'll be 100% honest with you. You can get it done cheaper by getting a sample, and I think you can take it to
the extension office?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. If people want their septic, I already know the answer to this. If they want their septic inspected, is that something you do?
No. But, however, with my inspections, I have warranties that cover these areas. So just for using thorough inspection, you get a 5-year warranty for the roof. You get 90-day warranty for structure, mold, and sewer, which includes that. And then also take pictures of the data plates of all the appliances that come with the house to see if there's been any recalls on those appliances.
Oh.
But back to the sewer, I don't run a camera, I don't scope the pipes to see if there's any issues, but I do run every faucet fixture in the house and look for visible evidence of any damages. But yes, I don't.
So I would say probably the most common things that people want to have inspected that don't fall under a typical home inspector would be septic, which would be a septic company. Also, let's see. Oh, termites. Davey may see signs of potential termite damage, but he is not a pest control specialist. So we would have somebody else come in and look for termites or wood destroying fungi. I'm trying to think, and he did say you cover mold and air quality, so that's interesting.
Most inspectors will outsource a pool inspection.
Oh, pool, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend I use. He's been in the pool industry for many, many years, and he gives me a flat rate of what it costs to do the pool inspection. I personally just charge that straight to the client. I don't make $1 off of it. It's just another thing I offer. Makes it simple to pay one price and get it all done.
Right.
He gives me a report. I put that in with my report. I personally don't do it. I outsource it. But that's another.
That's awesome. Okay, so I just have one final question. What tips do you have for people looking for a home inspector to find a good home inspector?
I'd make sure that he's certified, and some of the schools that offers that is like OSHI, InterNACHI, and up to date on his continuing education classes. Make sure that he's insured, and how much insurance does he have. I'd also ask him what other services that they offer, like the radon, the mold, the lead paint, things like that. And I would not always go with the cheapest. This is one of the most expensive investments you're gonna make in your life. Don't cheap out on the home inspector. You get what you pay for. I'm definitely not the cheapest. I'm not the most expensive. I try to be the most thorough.
That's the name of his company, Thorough Inspections. So, y'all, and that's a really great point. This is your biggest investment, and this is such a small cost. And I may have mentioned this earlier, but I have people all the time that say, my dad's a home builder, my brother's a contractor, we do a lot of renovations, like I know all this stuff, this is who I'm gonna have just check it out for me. And that's really great. Y'all, I'm a realtor. I see home inspections all day long. I kind of know what to look for. I flipped houses. I probably know more than the average person on, like, things about that go into building a house and stuff. I am not inspecting my own house, I promise you. And these guys are trained to look for, like I said, 80 pages worth of little tiny things that may or may not be a big deal. Contractors, builders, they're gonna find some stuff, I'm sure, but they're really gonna be looking bigger picture a lot of times and not really getting into some of the little tiny nitty gritty things like whether a door is closing properly and the striker panels, striker plates lining up, and a toilet's wobbly. Those are not big issues. Those are not things that are going to break your deal, but those are things you may want to know as you move forward as a homeowner. So again, I think it's so important to hire somebody that is going to give you the most thorough report and you really know what you're getting into with the house.
Another common misconception is, I'm buying a new house, I don't need a home inspection. It does not matter. Whether it's brand new or 100 years old, you need a home inspection. Even new houses will have pages of things wrong with it.
Wow, I wouldn't have even thought about that. So that's a really good point. So here he is, Davey Kahn, your one-stop shop for your home inspection. Thank you so much for coming today, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.